UCOV, which stands for Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice. UCOV strives to be a beacon of liberal religion on Florida's Gulf Coast. Each one of you is very welcome here today, no matter what you believe, and we're delighted that you chose to be with us today. We hope you'll meet someone new and find something in today's service that inspires you. My name is Janet Knudsen, and I will be your worship associate today. If you'd like to learn more about UCOV and all that we offer to stimulate learning and connection, please visit our website at uucov.org or visit our Facebook page. If you're joining us online, please know that your donations are welcome and can be made remotely by clicking the donate button on our website. Is there anyone visiting with us for the first time today? We'd love it if you would stand. I think Marcia's going to bring you a mic. Just tell us your names and where you're visiting from.
I'm Tom Makoski. I live in Nokomis, just down the street here, and a 7-year resident.
Welcome. What took you so long, Tom?
Well,
I dragged him here.
Okay, good. Good for you.
So I live in Sarasota. So.
And what's your name? What's your name?
Shirley.
Shirley. Nice to meet you, Tom and Shirley.
Nice.
And there was someone over here too?
Good morning, my name is Jay Peddle, and I live here in Nokomis. That's loud. And usually I'm at Suncoast where I sing, but the choir's on break, and I decided I'd come visit friends at UCOV. So.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Anybody just visiting with us? Oh, we got another visitor.
Hi, I'm John Shalecki. I retired down here from New York. I've been I've lived in Venice for about 3 years now, and appreciate it.
Welcome, welcome everyone. Anybody back? Got one more. It's a great day for visitors. We love this.
Hi, I'm Joanne Peterson, and I live in Venice. Been here about 15 years, and I'm from the Midwest. Any state you name, I've probably been.
That's great. Welcome, everyone. I only have a couple of announcements today. There will be no arts and crafts meeting on Friday, but there will be mat making on Saturday from 10 to 3 in Waters Hall. 10 to 3. We wish it was 10 to 3, don't we, Judy? 10 to 12 in Waters Hall. Now is a good time to silence your electronic devices. Our chalice lighting reading is Igniting This Precious Light by Vanessa Taitang. In igniting this chalice, we cast upon it our hopes and intentions for all that is positive in our minds and in our hearts. May this precious light shine on. Lisa will now play the prelude. am so delighted to introduce today's guest minister, Reverend Angela Wells Bean. Reverend Angela serves as Minister for Congregational Care at the Naples UCC Church, another beacon of liberal religion on Florida's Gulf Coast. Prior to serving in Naples, Reverend Angela was the pastor of the UCC Church in Burlington, Massachusetts for 9 years. And that was my home church, and as well as Bob's when we lived in Massachusetts. Our congregation in Burlington called Angela to be our settled pastor when she was just 25 years old. And we had very high expectations for her, and she went on to exceed every one of them. Angela was raised in St. Petersburg, Florida, where her mother was and still is pastor at the Lakewood UCC Church. Angela and her husband Andy are parents to 2 young sons, Soren and Emerson. So please give a warm welcome to Reverend Angela Wells Bean.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here. When Janet reached out to me many months ago and extended this invitation, I was thrilled to be asked to worship with you all this morning. So thank you so much for having me. I do bring greetings from Naples United Church of Christ. If you ever find yourself a little ways down south on 75 and you're on Naples on a Sunday morning, we would love to have you. And my colleague, Reverend Dr. Mark Williams, sends his regards as well. On a more personal note, you should know something about me, which is that I am UU by marriage. My husband, Andy Wells Bean, is a Unitarian Universalist, and when I met him and we started dating, like I had been dating for a little bit, and the idea of finding someone who was open to being with a pastor was not likely, and if I was going to find someone, they were going to be at best tolerant of religion, right? And because most religious men I was meeting were not interested in being with a woman pastor. So you can draw the conclusions that you will. But then I met Andy, and he said, not only am I religious, but I'm progressive. And so anyway, the rest is history. We met up in the Boston area, and he actually was the membership coordinator at Fallen Unitarian Universalist Church in Lexington, Mass., if any of you are from that area. So he worked at a UU church, and our son Emerson is named after Ralph Waldo Emerson, a very notable UU, and my husband's a member of the Unitarian Universalist congregation down in Naples. So we're a very UU-friendly family, and we do consider ourselves an interfaith family. So I'm a UCC minister, but I have a very warm spot in my heart for the UU folks. So I thought that was worth sharing with you. And now I would like to offer the words, A Place of Caring, Belonging and Caring by Kimberly Ann Tomzak Carlson. Let us hear these words. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship. I now invite us all to stand in body or spirit, and we're going to sing all 5 verses of hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses.
Giving is a sacred practice, and when you give to your church, you also receive. As usual, our offering words are offered with levity, because giving should always happen with a smile. The church council met to discuss the pastor's compensation package for the coming year. After the meeting, the chairperson told the pastor, "We're very sorry, but we decided that we cannot give you a raise next year." "But you must give me a raise," said the pastor. "I am but a poor preacher." "I know," said the council chair. "I hear you every Sunday." The ushers will now pass the collection basket.
A church is not the building, but the people. As a community of human hands and human hearts, we come together here to share our laughter and our tears. We are entering into a time of sharing our joys and concerns. You can raise a hand, and Janet or Tom will bring you a microphone, and we ask that you please only share information with permission. So if you'd like to share a joy or concern, please raise your hand.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Donna Schaefer, and I can see that we have a much smaller congregation because of all the people heading north, and I'm doing that on Tuesday, and I will be back in September, so I'm looking forward to seeing everyone then, and I'm going to miss you while I'm gone.
Hi, I'm Fran Vanisek, and I've been a member here from early 2000s. I started coming while we were still meeting at the ranch, mobile home park. And I've decided to move. I'm leaving probably before the end of next month to be closer to my family. I am going to miss my Sundays with you. I'll probably watch you online, but so you better keep growing.
Hi, I'm John Van Camp, and both the Social Justice Committee here and the Social Justice Alliance of the Florida Suncoast are celebrating, if you will, at some level, the closure of the right to read. We were so pleased that UCOV was its past fiduciary. We found a new one, which is Venice Pride, and Jay, who's been active in that, is one of the co-signers. And also, we're celebrating that finally the video of the right to read video is finished. We're getting it out in many different places. Hopefully it'll be on our website and the YouTube channel.
It is on our website.
Is it? Okay. All right. Thank you.
I just wanted to also say I hope everyone isn't leaving before next week because my sister, Reverend Allison Moore, is coming back to visit, which is a joy, and she'll be preaching for 2 consecutive Sundays here.
So to follow up on John's, Suncoast MCC actually on June 1st is actually at 6 p.m. is doing a benefit concert for the Social Justice Alliance of Suncoast, Florida. So out of the work that you guys have done, it is spread and it's doing amazing things. So June 1st at Suncoast MCC, 6 p.m., please join us.
Thank you. Other joys and concerns?
May the love of this community hold all who need love and concern. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of this world. May we never look away when we are needed. May those who are grieving be comforted. May those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed. May those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant.
Our first reading is Come In, Be Among Us by Sherry Woodbury. And please join me, if you will, in reading the bolded words. To all who are yearning for community, come in, be among us. To all who are just getting started, to all who long to go deeper, to all the tender places needing care, come in, be among us. To the ones who have healed and have care to give, for those who are curious and hungry to learn, for those who know that they have something to teach, come in and be among us. For the ones who are just beginning to suspect they might nurture others becoming, to the young and the old, the innocent and the jaded, the fresh of mind and the deeply steeped, there is room here for each and every one. Come in and be among us. Today's meditative reading is an excerpt from Listen, the Spirit is Calling by John Saxon. Listen, can you hear it? The Spirit is calling. It calls us in the silence and through the noise and busyness of our daily lives. It calls us in the brightness of the day, in the darkness of the night, in times of hope and despair. Listen, can you hear it? The Spirit is calling. It doesn't matter what you call it, for it has no name, and it has many different names. The Spirit of life, the Spirit of love, the Spirit of compassion, the Spirit of hope, the Spirit of justice. Listen, can you hear it? The Spirit is calling. Please join me in a minute of silent meditation, thought, or prayer. Our second reading is We Hold Hope Close by Julianne Jamaica Soto. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that does not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream. And by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. Now please rise as you are willing or able to sing hymn number 118, This Little Light of Mine.
So I'm going to do a little exercise in free association. So I'm going to say some words, and I want you to silently, emphasis on the word silently, think to yourself any associations you have with the words that I say. Don't judge or filter your thoughts. Just take notice of the words that come to mind. So for example, if I say the word banana, you might think smoothie or tropical beach or monkeys or peanut butter, okay? All right. So the first word is American flag. American flag on the back of a black pickup truck. A country club dining room. An AME church. A Southern Baptist church. A white church on the common of a New England town. A Toyota Prius. A Toyota Prius with a coexist bumper sticker. I know my audience. A gun show. A farmer's market. I recently listened to the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. Since I have young children, I don't have time to read paper books anymore, but I do have a commute, so I love my audiobooks. And I do recommend Malcolm Gladwell's book Blink if you haven't read it. It's about the instantaneous and snap judgments that we make about the environment around us. These gut reactions are biological. They evolved to help protect us from dangerous situations. These instincts are what help us to know whether or not we're in danger, whether we need to fight or flight. However, society has evolved much more quickly than our biology, and so these snap judgments don't always work in our favor. But our instincts do serve an important purpose, and they can help steer us away from things that are not good or not right for us. The thing is that as enlightened as we might think we are, we make snap judgments about everything. And it often comes down to, am I in or out? Do I belong or not? Is there a place for me? Do I associate with that person, place, or thing? And they're not always right. Sometimes we can have a snap judgment about something and immediately assume I would not belong there, and then maybe find ourselves in a situation and realize, wow, we were incorrect, and maybe we should have second-guessed those judgments that we make. But most of our reactions, and probably the reactions you had to the words I said a few moments ago, were in relationship to you, whether you like it, whether you agree with it, and whether or not you want to participate in it. People make snap judgments about whether they belong somewhere, and in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you haven't heard of it, was a psychologist who came up with this hierarchy of needs back in, I want to say, the 1940s. And modern psychology has a complicated relationship with it. It's not perfect, but I still think it does serve a purpose. And what he did was define human needs according to a pyramid. And the first thing we need in order to survive is having our immediate needs met, right? Food, water, air, shelter, clothing. That's basic. That's the bottom of the pyramid. And after that, we have to have our security needs met. So that means we have physical and emotional safety and financial security. And right after that is belonging. Humans need belonging. After our immediate physical needs are met and after we feel safe, we start searching for that connection. We need to be part of something larger than ourselves. We are social beings, and that's why we instantly decide whether or not we belong somewhere. Because if we decide we don't, we're going to keep looking for the place where we do belong. And this is especially true of communities of faith. Within minutes of coming on the property of a religious community, people have made dozens of judgments about it. And I was so pleased to see that there are so many visitors with us this morning, first-time guests. I'm among you. This is my first time here. And I bet if you think about the experience you had driving down the street and turning into the parking lot, you were immediately having all of these thoughts and reactions to what you were experiencing. And people who come to a congregation for the first time after arriving on property are already well on the road to determining whether or not they'll return. Many of us think first impressions happen when the first piece in the order of service takes place, but it actually happens the moment someone enters the property before they even talk to a single individual. And I want to give you all so much credit because when I was driving in here, the signage was amazing. I knew exactly where to go. I knew exactly where to park. I knew exactly where the sanctuary is. So kudos to you for the intentional work you've done to make newcomers to your space feel welcome and not sort of adrift and wondering where to go. And that is really important. The same goes with websites. It's the 21st century. This is the first place most people go when they're looking for a new congregation. Well, the first place people go is word of mouth. If you're looking for a new home congregation, you talk to people in your social network. Again, it goes back to belonging. People that I know and am friends with would probably be part of a community of faith that I would feel comfortable in. And after that, we go to the internet. And websites are important because within seconds of viewing a website, we know people's attention spans these days are just instantaneous and incredibly short. Within seconds, people are making judgments about it, and they're deciding quickly after visiting your church's website whether or not to visit on a Sunday morning. Now, as Janet said, I was raised in the United Church of Christ, born and raised, and so I've been going to church regularly for my whole life. And for those of us who are part of a community of faith, I think we can start to take it for granted. It becomes not like home, but it becomes home. For many of us, our church is our home away from our actual dwelling. And so we might not see the cobwebs that start to build up in our home, right? We don't see the clutter that needs cleaning up in the corners. We don't think about things like marketing and publicity and visibility because we know we exist. We know we're here. We are blissfully unaware of the unspoken and often unintentional messages we send to newcomers. So not only was I raised in the UCC, but I was raised in a progressive church within the UCC, which is already a progressive denomination. Back in the 90s, our church was welcoming everyone. We celebrated having a congregation which was racially, socioeconomically, theologically, sexually, and gender diverse. I became friends with a transgender woman when I was in elementary school, and I didn't even think anything of it. I was blissfully unaware of the fact that I was being raised in Florida, and I thought that was just the way the world was. And then I grew up. And needless to say, my little progressive church took our welcome for granted. It's just who we were. And I don't think we appreciated how many people were hungry for a community like ours, and they weren't part of our congregation simply because they didn't know we existed. As I was preparing my remarks this morning, I did explore your website. I wanted to learn about you and the ministries you're involved with, and you do an excellent job of communicating your values. So kudos to you. There's no ambiguity. Someone visiting your website is not going to wonder where do they stand. You are so unequivocal, which is refreshing, because someone who's looking for a congregation like yours can immediately find out these are people that I would probably be able to connect with and be partners with in improving the world around us. But the thing is, not everyone knows, just like not everyone knows what the UCC is, not everyone knows what Unitarian Universalism is, or that you're extravagantly welcoming. And these life-giving, soul-filling communities that we are a part of, I am convinced that we must not keep them to ourselves, but work really hard and really intentionally to spread the word on behalf of all of the people out there who are looking for the very thing we have to offer. In 2023, the church that I serve became the subject of a lot of unwanted attention. We were the host site for a Youth Pride event organized by GLSEN, G-L-S-E-N. It's an acronym standing for the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network, and they are the LGBTQ affirming groups that are in local schools. And this day included speakers, workshops, and other activities for young people. Well, one of the events was a drag show. And it consisted of one person in drag lip-syncing to one song. It was nothing to get riled up about. It was nothing inappropriate. It was nothing to get excited about. However, while the event was innocuous, the publicity flyer included our church's name and address alongside the words youth and drag show. And the internet, as you can imagine, went wild. If you're not familiar with Collier County, which is where I serve, it's even more conservative than where you all are. So the one conservative local blog posted about this flyer and this event, and then the local Fox affiliate did a news story about it, and then we had the privilege of being on the national Fox News. Finally, a local news station did do a few stories trying to tamper down the fear-mongering and set the record straight, but at that point it was too late. People were already riled up, and we at the church received some of the worst phone calls I have ever heard in my life. It got so bad that we sent all our support staff home, and we said only the clergy and senior staff are going to answer the phones because we did not want our support staff to be subject to the vitriol that we were hearing. Personal attacks, it was terrible. And we did have a few people protest the event the day of, which was on a Saturday, and a few people protested our worship service the following day, but eventually it all blew over. Now, I want to tell you two things I learned from that experience. The first thing is that fear is real and should not be minimized. And because of this, the second thing I learned is that visibility matters, as I was speaking about earlier. The day after the event, we had several people visit our church because they were in support of our values. I don't think Fox intended to do this. Because of all the media attention we got, they thought positively of our hosting this event and what we stand for. And they came, and they didn't previously know that we were open and affirming. Open and affirming is UCC vernacular for churches that have made an intentional, explicit welcome to LGBTQ folks. So one couple said that they had driven by our church in Naples hundreds of times, and on one wall facing the street it says Naples United Church of Christ, an open and affirming congregation. But they had no idea what that meant. And so what I realized was that we were doing a really poor job of communicating our values and being visible about what we stand for, because they didn't know that open and affirming meant that we were welcoming of all people. And it took for that news story for them to realize and then come to our church, and now they're active members, which is wonderful. But that same weekend that I was reminded of the importance of being visible was because of the fear that we experienced. Some of the people in the church pressured us to cancel the event because of the attention we were receiving. And I said that the attention was the precise reason that we could not cancel, because that was exactly what they wanted us to do. And what message would that have sent to the young people who were planning to attend? It was so hard for the GLSEN organizers to find a place that would host this Youth Pride event, and our church said yes. And if we had said, sorry, you can't have the event here, it most likely would have been canceled. And the message those young people would have received was that there's no place for us in the greater Naples area. And so I said, we cannot give in to our fear of threats, especially because my church is in a very privileged community. We're in a very safe area with ample resources, and we had every means to protect ourselves and the young people who were attending that event. But a young queer person who's questioning their gender identity or sexual orientation, or a child raised in an unaffirming faith tradition who never thought that they'd be able to step foot on a religious property in the fullness of who they are, that child isn't safe. So we needed to make our property safe for the young people who are not safe in the wider community. And they might have had nowhere else to turn other than their local GLSEN chapter. And if they asked a trusted adult if that adult could recommend a progressive faith community that they might attend, that adult could say Naples UCC. And so the question I have for you all is that if there are young people in the greater Venice area that are talking to trusted adults in their lives and asking them the question, I want to be part of a church. I want to be part of a faith tradition. Is there a community I can be part of here where I will be welcomed and loved and supported? Would that trusted adult know to recommend them here? I don't know. That's just a question for us to reflect on and think about. Because the Trevor Project found that 45% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, including more than half of transgender and non-binary youth. So having groups like GLSEN, PFLAG, and UU and UCC congregations in communities can literally be life-saving for people. The stakes, especially for young people in our midst, are really high. The presence of one caring and supportive adult in a young person's life can change their trajectory of their entire lives. Now, I serve a congregation where the average age is 72, and when I arrived here this morning, I was told, oh, you're so young, you know, our congregation skews older, and I said, I was raised in Florida. This is nothing new. It's totally fine, very similar to the congregation I serve. And so you might be asking yourselves, you know, we're a congregation in the third act of our lives. Why would a young person or young people ever want to come here? You know, don't they want to be around other young people? And they certainly do, and they are in their schools and they're in their extracurricular activities. But having adult friends and mentors can make such a difference. And there can be an age difference of 50 years between the young person and the adult. It matters not. Imagine how much you could have to offer that young person in terms of wisdom and knowledge and support. And you've seen so much of the world through your life experiences than they have, that you can try to give them some perspective and say, it might be really hard right now, but let me help you see the bigger picture and where your life might take you. So the best practice for houses of worship, I think, is that every member of the house of worship have an elevator speech about their community of faith. This really helps with visibility. You should be able to tell someone in a minute or less why your community is different from the one down the street, why it matters, and why they might find value in it. Because we know there are so many congregations in Florida, right? People have their pick of the litter when it comes to finding a church home. Why would they come to, is it UCOV? How do you say it? UCOV, thank you. So the good news is that this should be really easy for your congregation. You're a welcoming community, encouraging spiritual growth, seeking meaning, and pursuing justice. I found that immediately right on your website. It was clear, and that is such a great way to just tell people really quickly this is what we stand for. UCOV occupies a unique place in the religious landscape of this section of Florida's Gulf Coast. I did a little research on kind of the religious landscape of what's going on around you, and I did find a few open and affirming Christian communities. Suncoast MCC was one of them, and the UCC here in Venice is another one of them. Fun fact, you might not know this, you probably don't, but in the summer of 2012, I served the UCC church here in Venice for 3 months during an internship while I was in seminary. So I lived among you all for 3 months, and I got a taste of the religious landscape down here, and I'm aware that there's not many affirming congregations. And you all are the only one for folks who don't necessarily identify as Christian. So for people who are looking for an expansive congregation that makes space for all faiths, you've cornered the market. You're it. Which is a privilege and a big responsibility. But I was able to find you pretty easily using key search terms on Google, so that's great. You've got great search engine optimization, and it's not hard for people to find you or find your website. But if your congregation was plucked out of Venice, you just disappeared into the ether one day, there would be a huge void. And I want you to know that and take that to heart, that if you disappeared, there would be a hole, and there would be an unmet need in terms of people who are looking for a congregation that's affirming of all faiths, or people who don't identify as Christian who are looking for an affirming and progressive, social justice-minded community. There'd be nowhere else to go. As I said earlier, those of us who are raised in welcoming congregations, who have been UCC or UU our whole lives, we take it for granted. You know, you travel and you're out of town on a Sunday morning and you want to go to church, you just Google it, right? Where's the local UU congregation near me? And you show up on Sunday morning, and they're quirky and they have their idiosyncrasies, and you get it because you're one too, and you blend right in and you go with the flow. But there are thousands of people who don't even know to search for a UU congregation. They don't even know that our denominations exist, especially young people who've all but given up on the idea of religion, because you know the dominant narrative in the media, you know what they say about religious folks, and especially religious Christian folks, and it's not positive. And young people have every reason to believe, especially if they're LGBTQ, that there's no congregation that will accept me for who I am. And so congregations like yours are desperately needed, and I believe all of us that serve these churches with these values have responsibility to work harder to spread our message. We can have tables at our local Pride Festival, or we even co-sponsor it. We can support GLSEN or our local PFLAG chapters. We can advertise in local publications and get active on social media. We can stand up and speak at school board meetings and county commissioners meetings and city council meetings and make public comments and state the name of the congregation that we're a part of, so people start to have that name recognition. We can scrutinize our publicity and our website and make sure we're unequivocal in our values, because, as I said, people make snap judgments to determine whether they're in or out. And we want people to know that those who are hurting or excluded or are marginalized know that they are in at UCOV. And all these avenues of spreading the word are important, because we don't ever want someone to stumble upon our congregation and say, I would have come a long time ago, but I didn't know you were here. In some places in our country, you can throw a stone and land on a UCC or a UU church. Janet and Bob and I were in New England. That's one of the places in our country. That's not the case here in Southwest Florida. We have a big responsibility and a big opportunity to offer extravagant welcome to folks who are looking for affirming communities, because there is nowhere else. And I'm deeply grateful for the life-affirming work that UCOV does here in Venice, and may you continue to make your values visible. So when people come across your congregation, they immediately know that this is a place where everyone is welcome and you take spiritual growth seriously and you seek the pursuit of justice. Do it for that one young person who's looking for just one supportive adult in their lives. Thank you. Thank you. And now we are going to extinguish our chalice, and we extinguish this flame, but not its meaning and its mission in our hearts.
Our closing hymn is number 121, We'll Build a Land. Please rise in body or spirit.
Friends, remember that here in the Venice area, someone is looking for a congregation just like this one. And so as you go from this place, may you seek out opportunities to share with the world the blessing that is UCOV, because you may just be the one person who comes across the person who's seeking this community. And may you know that you are beloved, and I pray that you go from this place in peace. Amen.